sponsor, Parati's Quality Meats, located in Cranford, New Jersey, serving customers all over New Jersey for the past 50 years. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Coach's Talk presented by the Shore Football Report. And today we have a special guest from Monmouth County, the head football coach of Shore Blue Devils football, Coach Mark Costantino. Coach, thanks for coming on the show today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you. We've been going back and forth for a few weeks trying to get together, and I've been pretty busy, but we got it together. Here we are.
A lot of respect with that Hawaiian shirt, Coach. It's
I do, Coach. I like that fish on yours, though. I got to say,
it's nice.
Like I said, mine's an old one.
Yeah.
So this is probably 15 years old. But,
that's awesome. But that only certain people can carry out wearing a Hawaiian shirt 24/7.
It's tough to pull it off on a daily basis, Coach, and you do it.
Yeah, but you got to try doing it. You got to hold that tradition in the Shore Conference. Coach, let me introduce you first. We got a lot to talk about in your traditional history. A lot of proud stuff to talk about in your program. Coach Kaz, he's known for, has been the head coach there for 30 seasons. I can't get over that, Coach, because when you wear that visor, people still think you're like one of those 22, 23-year-old guys. But we all know when you take it off. But 30 years in one spot as the head coach. Coach, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit. 191 career wins, 9 division titles, 4 state championships. You had an era of football. We talked briefly just a couple minutes ago of 2015, 2014, and you could extend it maybe to 2013, but you were 23-1 during that era. 2 state championships, 2 conference championships. That's incredible. I mean, how was it during that time period at Shore, coaching them?
It was great. We had, my coaching staff's fantastic, but we had great players. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the 23-1, that was just special kids. And even the 2 years before that, I think we were like 38-8 for some crazy. So yeah. No one else in Shore Conference did that. Not many, maybe Manalapan, but it was fantastic. But we worked hard. I mean, these kids got in the weight room. We get after it, and they worked hard.
Yeah. I mean, Coach, you have such a reputation. I mean, us being in Ocean County and being more of the southern part of Ocean County, you being way up top of Monmouth County, and you being a small Group 1 school, people kind of don't realize how great your tradition is. I've always known it, but you do have a great reputation of building teams. No matter who you have on the field, who graduated, you're still going to compete for championships and play good football in a small knit town like Shore. That must be something special, huh?
It is. We pride ourselves on getting the most out of our players. My coaching staff, like I say 1,000 times, I have a staff of head coaches. They're fantastic. And even like this year, we only have like 31 players on the varsity, but we're cross-training everybody. We're a young team, but they're fantastic. And on game nights, we have a huge crowd, and it's almost like the town closes, and the student body shows up, and it's exciting. Game day at our high school, kids wear their jerseys, and like if we're home blue, then their whites, their girls are wearing, right. And it's special.
It's something special. It really is watching it. I didn't realize your facilities are incredible, but you in all your sports, it seems like you all support each other in all the sports, yep. And very, very a winning tradition in that town. It's incredible. So now and I'm going to talk more about you later on, but the feeder programs, I mean, they must idolize you guys and can't wait to play for you guys because they're being coached at the youth level, probably by alumni too, right?
Yeah, I started the Pop Warner with some friends back in 1994. We didn't have one, so that was a lot of work. And we gave them playbooks, free clinics, the whole 9 yards, and it's been good to us most of the part. We had a run there for a while. We had some people in the Pop Warner who weren't Shore people, and they started doing the parochial thing. But right now, it's back in the correct hand. One of my assistant coaches, Pete Fincelli, is the president, and he has on his staff all these ex-players. And I'm telling you, from the undefeated team, he has guys coaching. He goes, it's so much easier than these dads who don't know anything and think they know. They'll tell Eric Graham, all-state player for us, couple-year captain, we need to go do the power sweep drill. He just goes and does it. So right now, those kids come up, and we invite them to our games. They line up. We come out to Hell's Bells. They've been doing that Shore since like 1981, so I kept that tradition going. And they come out and run with us a couple times a year. It's very exciting.
It's very intimidating when that song comes in, and I'm looking at the graveyard right there.
We come out of the graveyard,
I mean, that's one thing that you kind of psych Maybe not the players, but I'm pretty freaked out when you do
That
that. But
started before I got there, and I loved it, and I kept it going.
that's awesome, Coach. I mean, in today's society, when there's not a lot of tradition, you have a lot of consistency. Being a head football coach for 30 seasons at one spot, that is very unique in today because everybody likes to do a bucket list and go somewhere else. They get hired and say, "I'm using this. I want to go somewhere else." You're a sure guy, and I'm sure there's many schools that went after you and all this, but you've shown your loyalty to one school. I think that is incredible. I really do.
Well, it's a special place. We always say it's like a private school. When I came down for the interview, I was 25 years old. I'm from North Jersey. I never really heard of Shore. Honestly, I'd never seen a high school that small look like that. So, I walked in, my head, size of my head was shaved. I was playing softball. It was crazy. So I just sat in the interview and I was loose as a goose and I got the job. And they're like, the next day they called me. I'm like, well, I mean, during the interview, I asked them, how far is Belmar from here? They all start laughing at me. I said, I go there a lot and I want to live there. They're like, about a half hour. Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome, Coach. We're going to talk more about how you got the job,
Okay.
and we do know that was a great decision by both of you agreeing to be the head football coach. But before you were the head coach for 30 seasons, you were an assistant, a loyal assistant for 5 years. So you
Yes.
kind of were there for a while. So you saw a whole class go through the whole program, all that, and then that's that. Were you anywhere else before that?
No, I was not. That was my first. I graduated from William Patterson. I had a degree, wasn't very good, and then I couldn't do much with it. I always wanted to teach, and I went to the National Guard after I graduated college. I always wanted to be in the military, and then I kind of had a few jobs. Then went back for grad school for special ed, and then I started coaching.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Coach, what I'm going to ask you to do right now is probably the best part of this interview is talk about the process where you're going to talk about how you became the head football coach at Shore Regional.
Sure.
But start out when you were a little kid and first put that
Okay.
first squeeze that helmet on, the mouthpiece, the helmet wasn't fitting right, and
Right.
all the steps that led to where you are right now being a Hall of Fame coach at Shore. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we starts. You're playing. We're a big street football gang. I grew up in a tough neighborhood, good kids, and we play tackle nonstop, touch. The Buick was the first down, that kind of deal, and that's what we did. And then we had Pop Warner, and my first year I went to Pop Warner, I was on the team. They made me leave. I was too small. I was heartbroken, so I came back next year. I was 5 pounds heavier, but I was older. So I did
Yeah.
Pop Warner. Didn't do much in high school. 1 year. I was small. We moved around, and I didn't play a whole lot. But I was always a player. When I was little, I had my own playbook. Like even before I was playing, I had Joe Namath had Monday Night Football, and I had a playbook. I had 32 draw, whatever.
Really?
And so I was always kind of a coach. I always had. When we played in our street football, I was the quarterback, and I was always like the captain and that kind of stuff. And I'm proud to say, me and my friends, who I'm still tight with since kindergarten, high school, we never lost a street tackle game. We never lost anybody.
Well,
and
that,
we played no pads.
I'm going to put that in my notes here.
We took on all comers.
You're undefeated on the streets. Yes.
Yeah, we never lost. And then we played rough touch for a million years in the Bloomfield League, and we won like countless championships. I'd wake up early Sunday morning, go play, come back, break down game film.
Really?
We're still best friends. We grew up together, so that's it. But I really, at William Patterson, I was working in the weight room, and my buddy Mike Carter, the head Bloomfield coach, said, "Why don't you just play? You're better than these guys." I said, "Mike, I didn't do much in high school." He goes, "Yeah, you kind of got screwed in high school." I said, He goes, "I'm telling you." So I talked to head coach, which was the legendary Frank Glazier, the Glazier Clinics, and he said, "Listen, we're going to lift all spring, showing what you got." And I didn't miss a day, and I did all the bench jumps, and I got invited to camp. So that was it. And I played my last. I had a walk on. We had 45 DBs. I was like the 45th. By game 3, I was starting. I worked my way into the starting lineup.
Great.
And I had an okay career there. It is. You play and you have fun. I made so many friends. Actually, a bunch of us are getting together this Sunday at Donovan. So it's awesome. And then that was it. I played the 3 years of college. I had some jobs. I joined the National Guard because I wanted to do the military thing. And then I came back, and I really missed. My friend would call me and say, "How come you're not coaching?" I had a job. I was at a computer. And he's like, he'd bust my chops. "Hey, we're playing Clifton tonight. How come we on the side?" I was like, "You son of a gun." So I went back to grad school. It was hard. I had to work, and I got my special ed certificate. And up north had a few jobs for me, but they were waiting until August. So my aunt worked at Shore, and she said, they have a special ed opening. So my mom I didn't want to go. She made me drive down here. I had to borrow a car because my pickup wouldn't have made it. And I drove down. And I interviewed, and I told you in the interview, I was like asking how far is Belmar from here? I said, if I can't coach football, I'm not going to teach. They're like, why? I go, I don't care what level, but if I can't be an assistant coach, I'm not teaching here. They're like, okay. So I got the job. I can't believe it. So I moved down. I lived in a studio apartment in Belmar on Ocean Ave for like 5 years. It was like a little, oh my God. Anyway, so, but I was so lucky. The head coach was Bob Rolak, excellent coach, good friend of mine, like a big brother. His assistant coach was Nick Camerano, who was the head coach before Bob, and the other assistant coach was Pete Charaba, who was the head coach before Nick. So all these guys were on staff. So I walk in the staff meeting thinking I'm hot to trot, and I know all I'm talking about, and I walked out with a headache saying, were they talking football? Like, I didn't know anything. So I just learned to shut my mouth and listen to these three. The other guy, Pete Farnham, was excellent, and I listened. I took notes. By my second year, they let me call the defenses.
That's awesome.
And we were state champs. We shut a team out in the state championship. I called all the defenses. So that was my process. I got in practice, and I just learned every year. It took the old day we had the reel.
Yeah.
I took them home and I put on my wall in Belmore. I watched the films, and
so you won them over. You had a bunch of traditional coaches at Shore, and you were accepted into their locker room, and then
they're great men, and they just took me in.
So you won them over. You won over.
They took me in. Like by the second week of camp, I'm walking out, and one of them said to me, "So what do you think?" And I said, "I want to be a head coach someday." And then like a few weeks later, we were doing something for next year, and Coach Cam said, "He's the next lead duck." I didn't know what he meant because I didn't know what that means. And then I realized years later. But, I was very fortunate. These guys are great men, great fathers, and they were teachers, and they really worked with me.
Good.
So when Bob Rolak told me he was stepping down, we were going to scout Keensburg, and I think I just got married. And we were driving here. I want to talk to you about something. He said, "Hey, I'm going to step down. This is my last year. I want you to be next head coach." I was, okay. I didn't sleep much that night. I'm not ready. Holy crap.
How old were you?
It's like 28, 29.
Okay.
So I was like, holy crap. So I went home that night. I'm like, it just got real. Like everybody says they want to be head coach, but then when you're going to be head coach, you know what I'm talking about. And you got to deal with this. It's like, so that was exciting. And then I got the job. There were some things, and I got the job, and that's how it goes.
Now, in your interview, was it a bunch of traditional a principal that's been there for years, a Shore guy? Was it Shore guys for a long period of time that were in an interview? Because you're an outsider for the most part.
Well, for the football job, there was no interview because I was the only guy back then. If you were in the building qualified, you got the job. For the teaching job, it was Shore people. They didn't know me. I had to walk in, and there was a lot of people local who wanted that job when I got it 5 years earlier.
Right.
But the football job, back then the law was if you were a qualified person in the building, they had to give it to you. So it didn't matter. I was ready I wanted an interview. Yeah. I was ready to go. I had playbooks. I was ready to go. But they're like, no, because I was ready to run the weight room. Like I just took over the weight room like I'm head coach, and Bob Rolak would show me with recruiting. I went in all the meetings with him, and he showed me how he did it. So I just hit the ground running. In my first year, we were 7-2, and we were league champs.
Oh yeah.
But he left me a good team. Like they always left each other good teams when they left. So I'm gonna, when I leave, I'll try and do the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, I left Paul a pretty good team too this year, so I know what you're talking about. But that's great, man. So you were that young.
Yes.
Young guy with not a lot of experience playing football, got your experience, went to Shore, and then all of a sudden you haven't looked back. 30 seasons later, you're right now one of the top 10 coaches all time ever in the Shore Conference. Great tradition that you've created. All right, Coach, I'm going to take this mask off. You know what that is. It's about the COVID of last year. We all had to wear the mask, and all your successful seasons of 30 seasons as a head coach never prepared you for life as a football coach in the COVID season at all. I want to hear from your program what you learned, something positive about the COVID and the COVID season.
Well, the strength of my coaching staff, because I really had to lean on them last year because we were in those stupid 10-group pods. And really, it was work for football coaches. No other sports had. So for us, it was a nightmare. But my coaches were I would just say, okay, do agilities, you do O-line drill, I'll take the weight room. And they didn't miss a beat. and the players, like last year we had great senior leadership, but the players are just like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And we got to work together. We got to work the coaches, and it really showed, you know, what we have done with our program. But my coaches on really impressed me with their ability to just be to adapt and to keep working.
Coach, I hated hearing that. 10 people in a pod. Now,
Ugh.
when you got it handed the same rules I did, there was
Yep.
no football for phase one,
Yes.
and
No.
nobody more than 10 people. Whoever was in that committee was not a football guy. They couldn't
Absolutely.
add. You couldn't add one more person. 11.
Absolutely.
Was that 11th person going to affect the whole world? I don't know.
Yep.
But basketball was fine. You don't need 10. Baseball, you have an extra guy on the side waiting to come in.
Everybody's fine.
But football 10. So
Yep.
and your line
was,
splits must have been enormous in phase one. Huh?
It's ridiculous. And they were out in the field, so we just started doing like a buck sweep drill, but they were running full speed. So that's conditioner. There's no football.
No.
And you're going to pull around that cone, and you're going to block down, and so that's what we did.
Yeah, that's great. But boy, did you have to be creative during phase one. During that period. Tough time. Let's hope we never have to do that again, Coach.
I hope not.
Okay, Coach, now let's talk 2021 Shore High School football schedule on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side, we'll both talk about the newly assembled Patriot Division, which has a bunch of different faces probably that you're not used to playing traditionally. Coach, go ahead.
I think it's a fair division. I was surprised to see Asbury get put up being their Group 1 because they weren't supposed to jump up, and we recently just found out we're Group 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I mean, I think they could do a much better job with the scheduling, but they're doing what they do. And, why listen to veteran coaches? What the heck? But, we've developed a good rivalry with Barnegat. Asbury and us goes way back.
Mm-hmm.
We've played Jackson Liberty a couple times. They're a good guy. Point Borough, we had a nice game a couple years ago with them. They're always tough. Manchester, we haven't played. I don't even know last time I played, maybe 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So, it is. But for me, the problem is there's only one Monmouth County school I'm playing. I'm playing all Ocean County schools.
Yeah.
I have no rivals. They've broken up all the rivals, and I don't like the way it is. I know they do this little bowl series now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of it because I think it favors the top 4 teams, and the rest of you are like, well, here you go play, which I don't like. It really favors the parochials because they're the ones that recruit and have the advantage, and it's helping them out and not people like me.
And I know what you're talking about, Coach, because we talked about it earlier. You're about tradition. You're about pride, all that stuff. And now you're taking out of your traditional rival games and you're playing people down the Parkway exit. I mean, I bet when you first started playing some of these teams, you probably had to look on a GPS how to get there because you probably
didn't know.
You didn't know.
And we don't play our tradition. We were in a small division, and somehow they got out of playing us. So, and they play each other twice, which is ridiculous. But I'm just saying, everybody in the schedule I would play. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's fine. And we're gonna compete and do the best we can.
Yeah. Now, Coach. Yeah, that division is going to be a very competitive, evenly matched. It is going to be very hard to pick your 1 through 6. I think it is just because there's a lot of unknowns with a lot of those teams. You don't maybe because we don't know each other, or they have some question marks just like everybody else. But they're going to put a good product out with that. Coach, looking on the left-hand side, your schedule. You just want to talk briefly about your schedule from top to bottom.
Okay, well, we opened up with Point Borough. We moved them to week 1, so I'd have a bye later on. Which I don't know if that was a great move, but because they're experienced, and we're young. Mm-hmm. But I fear I'd rather have the bye later in the year if we are going to have a shot at playoffs. Because being a small school, we do get banged up. So we have Point Borough, then we have Asbury Park, who I know is very good this year. Then Barnegat, and they're loaded again. I don't know anything about Jackson Liberty. I know Manchester has that quarterback, some skill kids back. Mm-hmm. But, we'll look at them. And then we go into that pod thing, whatever they call it, the bowl series, whatever they call it. But, I don't know. It's okay. I mean, we're getting ready for Point Borough. We're working against triple option every day in camp. We scrimmage Middlesex. Right? I changed the whole scrimmage schedule because they're a good triple option team. Mm-hmm. So just hopefully get ready for them.
Coach, now that you're right, because the state just gave us our classifications, and they do it so late. I wish they did it early so everybody can adjust their schedule. But you're a Group 1 school now, and you're playing Group 3s which can give you a lot of PowerPoints,
You gotta win.
on
You
the
gotta win.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to win, but you are playing a lot of bigger schools, so
Right.
that could help you guys. And again, every year is about getting to the playoffs with you guys because you're there a lot, an awful lot.
Yeah. Well,
So,
last couple of years we were Group Two, and
mhm,
unfortunately you get in, you're a bottom seed, and you're out on the road somewhere, so it makes it very difficult. But last year we felt we had a great chance at doing something,
mhm,
Group One or Group Two, but
mhm.
unfortunately with the
Yeah.
situation, no one could do it.
Yeah, you're right. But I coach a lot of respect to you because you've been a traditional Group One school. When you moved to Group Two, you kind of adjusted, and you still were making the playoffs there. So,
Yeah, we still make it every year. We
yep,
try. But it is what it is.
yeah,
You just got to do the best you can.
yeah. Interesting schedule. I mean, just
Yeah,
from your
it's
side
okay.
and their side, coach, and their side, because I know that people have you guys circled down because you are a very rich traditional football program.
Right.
Okay, Coach Kaz, if you could do me a favor and talk about your Shore Regional assistant football coaching staff that you always speak very highly about, that is the nucleus to your football program, and let's hear some names.
Sure. Okay. I'll start with Mike Whitaker, O line, D line. Mike was an all shore player for Shore Regional. He was on the '88 state championship team. I was assistant coach. Mike has been with me from the start. He was a freshman coach, and when I first got the head job, I brought him up as assistant line coach. So he's been with me 30 years. And his son Jackson's lettered as a freshman last year and is a standout tight end as a sophomore right now. Let me go in order. I'll go John Remedios. John played for me in the '90s. We were state champs his junior year. We lost to Fonz senior year. John's O line, D line again was an all short player for me,
Mm-hmm.
and he does a fantastic job. Pete Vincelli played with John the same 2 years, state champ. Pete actually caught the pass the last play of the game against Burns, put the game in overtime, and Pete does the running backs, defensive backs, and these guys are all head coaches. They can be head coaches anywhere. I don't know why schools don't call us when they're looking for head coaches. They're outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I have Joe Rankin from Tom's River. I didn't coach Joe. Joe played for Coach Nanny. Joe's an outstanding quarterback coach, does middle linebackers, brings a lot to the table in practice. He's throws the ball around. My volunteer coach is Chris Riley. He played me as my quarterback 3 years, 2007, 8, 9. And went to Wayne Patterson, helped coach there. And Chris is fantastic. And my son Mark volunteer coaches. He played for me 2012 as all shore.
Mm-hmm.
He comes mostly game days. So they're the varsity. Freshman, I have John Vaccarelli, head freshman coach. He was my quarterback early 2000s.
Yeah.
Great player for me, captain. Does a fantastic job, Johnny Vac. Kids love him. He's positive. And the newcomer on the staff is Tommy Farrell Jr. He's a freshman coach, and he's brings a lot of energy to the table, and he's doing a great job. So my staff's fantastic. They work hard, and many of them are ex-short players. So
That coach, that's amazing, and you speak so proudly about it that your alumni are being added to your staff, and then also Tommy Farrell to that. So bringing in those alumni that you've coached, does it keep you young? Does it keep you young?
I'm a pretty energetic guy. I never stop moving. So if I wasn't talking to you now, I'd be outside doing something. So no, it's fun. We talk about stories. I'll bring up stuff they made mistakes doing. I'll say, remember that block you missed in the 98-point beach game? They're like, or when Pete broke his collarbone. I said, you broke your collarbone on purpose. It ruined my year, and he's laughing. But that comes up all the time. But they tell the kids the stories. I go, look, we still run waggle. They ran waggle. We still run belly. They ran belly.
Yeah.
Power sweep was power sweep back then too. So
that's awesome. That is awesome. But
great.
those young guys keep it alive, in the locker room.
We're all friends, and it's constant, banter among the coaching staff all day. So I can't say what goes on in our office, but you know what I mean. And then on the field, it's the same thing.
Good.
God forbid you make some. So it's just And Rankin's dealing with Motion County, so that comes up sometimes.
He's the oddball. You're the outsider.
Oh, he gets it, man, but he gives it back.
Good. That's great.
Yeah.
You've always been a tight knit staff, which is something special and unique. And being a small community and all that, you have something really good there. You're doing something right if you've been so consistent for 30-something years. And that's great job.
I've had great support. The superintendent, I've lent Schnappball for a million years, and then we had a bunch after. They're all been great. Jack Levy as my AD for forever, and they retired. And then now it's been Harry Chibucci, who's a good friend of mine, and now we got Vinny Dallacardillo as a principal. With Pete Riggy from Rumps, our interim superintendent. But these guys are all great guys, and over the years, you need that support. and I've had it.
Coach, you coached my college teammate and roommate, Nick Giglio.
Oh, love Nick.
Yeah.
Nicky, I was assistant coach, and I had him 2 years, and he played quarterback because his starter broke his arm in camp at a scrimmage, and Nicky had played as a junior. He was a great DB, and I coached him in the secondary. And his last year we were state champs in '88, and I was up in the booth calling the defense. I think he had a pick at the end of the game too. We won 9-0 against South Plainfield, and I'm pretty sure he had a pick late in the game. But I love Nicky. Nicky was a great coach, and we've talked football hours over the years.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and you know that you always pick things up from coaches, and then when you coach, you're the same way. So detailed in the stuff he does, and I remember him talking about his, his steps in the wing tee, and that
Yes.
had to be coming from you. All the steps being had to be a certain way, and
Well, when he was playing it with the head coach to the quarterbacks, Bob Rolak, and he was meticulous. Like they would just bird dog steps, which we still do to this day, because you have to have that mesh, you have to have your shoulder turn, you have to have that deception. And Nicky was great. Just coach, he's a coach, so he was.
Yeah, so you got to be proud. You got to be proud when your coaches, when your players move on and become head coaches.
Yeah, like an Andy Camerano was a great player for me. He's at Spotswood as head coach. Phil Green should have got the Red Bank regional head job a couple years ago. He's at Ocean coaching, and he was out. There's a bunch of them out there. I'm proud of all.
All right, Coach. Now, if you could talk about your 2021 Shore Regional football team, but before you go on, can you just tell everybody what you guys run offensively, defensively, and then get into your key returners for next year?
Sure. Well, offensively, we're wing T. Shore's been running the wing T since 1977. We've kind of morphed into more of a shotgun. Depending on what we have, we throw the ball a little more. We like some of the air raid concepts we use. And then we just kind of try to see what our personnel is. If we're going to be, I love the I formation. We'll jump in the I, the pistol. It just depends. This year, we're very, very young, so we'll see. Defensively, we're multiple. We're 4-4, 3-4, and we put the 50 in the second day, and today we did bunch, and then we'll start mixing coverages. I feel we had to survive today's spread offensive attacks. You can't just be a 4-4 stand around or man-to-man all day. And I'm not a big 4-3 guy, but we do morph into a 4-3 out of our quarters coverage now because you have to, because sometimes we can't play the 50 because of personnel. So right now we don't know what we're going to do this year because we're in camp. We're installing it. We always do. And they're doing a fantastic job. It's just a matter of we are young this year, and we got to see who can actually physically play stand up here and nose guard there or whatever.
Coach, before you move on, we did a lot of study on you because we never played you before. And then when we had to, and then as I started studying you, really studying your history, it really was, my head was splitting because you changed your personnel in the middle of a game. You go from an even front to an odd front like that. And they're so fundamentally sound at doing it. Now, that's for those people out there, that's hard to do. That you're a 3-4 and then you're a 4-4. That is tough, Coach. It's not easy. You don't just change schemes up. They're good at it and they're sound. And offensively, you're not a traditional wing T team like everybody thinks the old school is. You adjust to your players, and with new techniques and schemes out there, you RPO, you do all this. You were RPOing in the girls' flag football. So, God darn, man.
Those girls were awesome. Holy crap. We should have lost the game. We should have been 8-0.
I had people telling me Kaz was RPOing, and I said, "Oh, I got to see this." And a 7-on-7, but that's the thing about you is that you are such a legendary coach, but you keep adjusting to the times. You're not just so old school. You are more of a modernized mindset, offensively, defensively. So that's a credit to you, and I think that's why you keep winning. I really do.
Keep us energized, and really. It's the defense is what it is, and it takes more time in the preseason, but you have more time.
Yeah.
So we start to slowly install it every day, and we're gap control, we're shoulder skills, and nothing changes. And then by next week, the whole package is in.
Well, when we would play you, I don't care. I'm not coaching against you anymore. But when we would play you, you would always rotate one guy in to change to a 3-4, and we would say we're going no huddle because I don't want them to change. And we're going to keep going. We're going to keep going.
And we knew that.
And you would sometimes be able in other games change if they were moving a ball because people would huddle. We would keep going purposely just for the fact that I didn't want you to change a
I
technique and
know.
all that. So, Coach, let's hear about some of these young guys that are going to
Okay.
carry the tradition.
Okay, well, this year I'll start some of the seniors. Our two captains, one's Jamie Mazzocco. He was all shore last year, all division. He's
Hmm.
our quarterback, middle linebacker. He's a warrior. He's tough as hell. He's a wrestler. We have Andrew Decker. He's the other captain, right? He's a running back, outside linebacker. I have him listed here. We have Liam Rosa, tough. He could be a fullback. We had to make him a center because we're short in line, and he's a middle linebacker. We have Namir Jones, our top lineman returning, about 260 pounds, tough, great player, 3-year starter,
Hmm.
OT, DT. Owen Feely, last year started. Again, he's OT, DT. Owen's really come on strong. We have Aiden Scaturo, wide receiver, defensive back, started last year. Alex Kramer, wide receiver, defensive back, and Rylan Fegan, wide receiver, defensive back. These three guys all started last year, and they're all 6 foot tall and they're athletic. So that gives me options in my formations where I don't have to be so wing T. I have extra. They all catch and run. Then we have Pat Kelly, start last year in secondary as a senior. So these are all these kids. There's not a lot, but they all can play. So the next thing is the juniors. The junior class is light in numbers, but right now the top ones I'll talk about are Luke Rosa, outside backer runner, and running back, Aiden O'Brien, middle linebacker guard. Transfer Mike Furlong, tight end DN, and Ty Koch transfers quarterback, defensive back, or outside backer now. They're all 4 of them are playing.
Good.
Now there's a couple more, but they're newer and they haven't a job yet, so I can't really name them.
Right.
And then we have a really good sophomore class.
I keep hearing about them. I keep hearing about that sophomore class.
They were undefeated, the freshmen. So
Yeah.
I'll give a few names. A few guys, I just wrote them down for you, who caught my eye. We just finished our 3rd day of practice, which has been outstanding. I'm so proud of these kids.
Mhm.
One is Jack Whitaker, our assistant coach's son, tight end, the end. Alex George. We have Matt, linebacker and fullback and running back. He's so athletic. He's going to start. Or safety, he's going to start. Jake Prepara, really sophomore, big tough kid. He's guard, outside backer. CJ Haney at line, OTDT, he's like 260. Sean Fisher, 260, OTDT. Lucas White, tough. His brother played for him, is tough. Middle linebacker, fullback. There's a few other ones, but they're still feeling their way. But these guys are all going to play. So, and we only have 30 kids, sophomore to senior, 31 maybe. Mm-hmm. So, we got our whole thing. Clarence, if we stay healthy, it's going to be tough. If we don't stay healthy, it can go south. So that's our big thing, is trying to stay healthy. We have to cross-train people. So we put 3 running plays in so far. Tomorrow we're not going to put anything new. We're just going to rep everything out. We're on the turf all week because we're only team practice. So we're doing a lot more throwing. Today we did red zone throwing. Mm-hmm. We're trying to we're doing more half-line drills because I can't go – normally we'll go groups, shell, team. We don't have enough kids go into our shell. So the other day we did half-line drills, jet sweep. 1 in 9 sweep when we got 1 million reps and against a half a defense. So we have to change how we're doing things because of our numbers.
Yeah.
But the freshman has like 24 kids, which looks good. So hopefully, we'll see. You know how it is. It goes in cycles. And there are kids in the building that could help us. And with the COVID, kids stop playing, and some kids are just lazy, and you're like, come on, get in the weight room, and they don't get pushed. So you're going to get a kid who's going to be sitting home all day instead of playing football. And there's probably about 10 kids that could play. But I only focus on the kids I have. Yeah. Even we have kids in other schools now. It's frustrating, but I focus on the guys that show up every day with a smile on their face. And this week, we're so impressed, the coaches, with this team.
Right.
How attentive they are. They ask questions. Yes, sir. No, sir. They hustle. So I couldn't be happier.
Being a smaller school, you have to be creative with half lines. You have to.
Yeah.
Sometimes those garbage cans are really giving you a great look, right?
Well, we have to line up the coaches. We line up, I'll be the read. And then Coach Rankin's a quarterback for he's a demo quarterback. Or Coach Remedios is doing shell quarterback, which he thinks he's, Hall of Fame shell quarterback. But, this will be discussed tomorrow on our coach house, by the way. But this is what happens. We have to actually line up and try not to get hurt,
Yeah. But you need scrimmages to really see what you really got, because you're not getting that in practices all the time, right?
Well, we used to scrimmage bigger schools, and this year I couldn't. We used to go up to Summit. We'd see Summit, Bloomfield, Caldwell. We did RBR. This year I changed everything. We said, okay, We're gonna go. We're going to see David Brearley on Monday, and Metuchen's going to be there, both
Mhm.
our size. We have Middlesex during the week because of triple option. Then we have Mom at the regional home for a game scrimmage, which is fun, which is great.
Wow. But that, coach, that's still, I mean, 55 kids in your whole program. Again, you're Group One right now. That's a pretty high number for Group One. You got to be
Yeah.
excited about that.
Yeah. Well, I was hoping for 40 varsity. We had a bunch of kids who had played in the past who decided to not play. Not that they were good, but their bodies and and
Yeah,
they're good kids. And
yeah,
what the problem a lot of coaches have now, some of these kids are focused on one sport, and I'm against that. Like, and I tell them college coaches want to see multi-sport, and a lot of them are just lazy, Rob. They don't want to lift weights, and a
mhm,
lot of these coaches, the other sports don't lift weights. They go play basketball. They don't lift. They play basketball, and not or go play lacrosse. They're not lifting. They're playing lacrosse.
yeah,
Baseball. I'm doing fall ball. Really?
yeah,
You're hitting on Sundays. Come play football.
yeah.
But if you don't want to be here, I'm not going to coach you. Football's a very, very dedicated, tough sport.
And then Friday night comes during the season. They're like, "Oh, I want to play," but no, you didn't put a
No,
lot of stuff
and they
into
can
it.
sit in the stands and be like, "Oh, I could be out there." Well, come to practice, do the grind, getting that weight all winter.
You're right though. Kids today, man, they want easy outs, and I'm not talking about every kid, but I'm just saying
No,
generally. Um, somebody's out there telling them, "Hey, focus on this, focus on that." You're not helping the kid. You're not
no,
helping unless he's LeBron James. I mean, they want multi-sport athletes because I mean, what about building the kid up for social skills and
right?
all that stuff? Don't worry about they and these college coaches. If they got two guys they're recruiting and this kid only plays one sport and this guy plays two, they're going to take the two sport because he's
I
got
tell
more
them,
of a higher ceiling because that guy should be better than this guy anyway because he's only
yep,
focused on one sport. So there's more
tell them all
pressure.
the time.
There's
I
more
tell them all
pressure.
the time.
There's more
Yep,
pressure on that, but people don't tell them that.
no,
And the other thing is these college coaches listen to their high school coaches, not to area scouts, not to guys that
right,
do 7-on-7s. You're with them, so they're going to listen
yep,
to you, and you're going to speak the truth. And of course, you
yep,
got their best interest in there, but that's what people don't realize that it's not other people contacting these colleges; it's the head coach. So we're in it for the
right.
right reasons, and we're not trying to do any kids dirty. But
And
yeah, that's the
recruiting is
frustrating
a
part.
lot of work. Recruiting these college coaches come in, and our school's great. I get out of class and I put the kids in my office and I sit there while they're interviewed, but I prep them on how to handle an interview. Don't wear a hat.
Mm-hmm.
I give them questions to ask these coaches so that so they don't look like they're dummies. But it's a lot of time, and we're not getting paid for that. I'm just saying our stipend goes till whatever,
Yeah.
but then the recruiters come in all year now,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't not see them,
No.
cannot do it. So it's a whole other level to our. Since when I started, it's changed dramatically. The time involved with recruiting.
Coach, now I'm not asking to give me any names at all, but did you ever reminisce on your 30 years and then put down, like who were the best players I ever coached
I have it.
before?
I have a hidden all
Yeah.
Costantino team in my house.
Do you?
I have it. I may post it someday, but I'm
Yeah.
not saying it yet.
Yeah.
I go back every year from '92, my first year, till now,
That's awesome.
and I put kids' names, the top 2 or 3. Some years you have more, and doesn't matter. So I have an all Costantino team hidden
That's awesome.
that I don't show anybody. It's in my house. That's all
Well,
I'm going to say.
don't show your assistants because they might shut
No,
down. Because
no, because they want to be on it, and and I think one of them is on it, but that's all I'm going to say.
One. Oh, you better watch it.
And he knows who he is. But anyway, so I do have that. I do reminisce, and I now I'm coaching players' kids, which
Yes.
makes me old. But they're all around and they're still local. And I go out place, I see them all the time. I can't tell you, I was fishing. I have a lake down the street from my house, and I was fishing. I wear waders. I was out there in the muck fishing, and a kid pulls up. I coached him 10 years ago, and he's talking me from the land, and I was casting, and we were talking football. And then I had a day before, I was driving by the field, and it was 3 little kids, and a guy waved at me, and it was 2 guys I coached, coaching their kids for Pop Warner, getting them ready. So I talked to 3 Pop. They were like 7 years old. So I walked on the field, and they said, "The head coach," and I talked to them, and everything. It's great. They thought I was like Vince Lombardi, but it's great.
That's one of the rewarding things is the
It is.
relationships. The relationships that you've created and still going on, and when you get another kid from their family, it's just another attachment that you got
Yeah.
to your shore football program. Coach, thanks, man. This was awesome. Thanks for coming on here. in
Oh,
between
thanks. It's great.
your fishing, your fishing and your football. You squeezed me in to get that
Yeah.
shirt. So is the next
Well,
time you wear that Hawaiian shirt, is it going to be next year's interview? Like,
oh, I got the guns going. I don't know. We'll see. I got hunting season starts in 3 weeks too, so I'll be very busy with bow hunting. But I usually only get Sundays for that, and
right.
I try to get in the woods every Sunday.
Yeah.
But
Wow. So
it's good though.
you're active, coach. I mean, you got more energy than a rookie coach just coming out 30 years old. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You have so much respect out there
Thank
throughout
you.
the short conference, and I know you have it in your own program too. And this was a really good interview to have you on. I needed ratings, and
Oh boy.
I got my ratings up now. The Hawaiian shirt
Uh-oh.
should help out too. I
Yeah.
still think
I'm gonna hang it up right now when we're done. I'm gonna hang it back up.
I know people are going to talk about that, coach. Again, I'm not coaching anymore, but I'm going to be watching you guys from a distance or maybe coming to a game here or there, following football, the shorefootballreport.com. I'm going to cover it, and you coach your thing. I'm going to do my thing on the sideline, and hopefully I can make things a little fun for everybody out there in the short conference. All
All
right?
right. That's great. Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
All right, coach, you take care, and I'll talk to you soon.
I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thanks.